Welcome everyone. Shut the fuck up. Welcome everyone to episode 55 of the Looks Like a Movie podcast. My name is Kevin. I'm here with Doug, Owen, and a returning guest and friend of the podcast, Aidan, whose links will be in the episode description as always. And today we're going to be talking about Drive Away Dolls. But of course, we can start with what we watched this past week. Who wants to go first?
I can go first because I watched like two things. My week wasn't crazy. I watched Thanksgiving again. I think I was editing. I don't remember. I just finished editing like during this week. So the stuff I was watching, I was just kind of like on in the background while I was editing. So I watched Thanksgiving. I don't know if Flesh and Blood I talked about last episode, but that's another Verhoeven. I'm kind of going through him. I like that movie a lot. There's like this sequence towards the end where this like dog dies, and it's like a medieval set piece, like setting, and the dog has the plague, and there's like the skin of the dog is like passed around, and like it's like there's like someone throws it in like the water. And like during like this part of the film, like you're seeing people like drink the water, and like there's the using of the flesh as this like kind of thematic element to translate that these people are about to die. I thought was really neat. I don't know. That's like the biggest thing that stood out for that movie. I thought that was like a really interesting use of the plague. I watched Phantasm, which like really cool movie. Like a day after I watched it, Ice Cube tweeted out like, "If you don't know what this is, we can't be friends," which I thought was really fucking funny.
So
really cool movie. I recommend it. There's some sequels that I want to get around to that I've heard are really good. And then I watched The Lure for class, which I thought was fine. And that's pretty much my week. I didn't do too much. I've been editing, and then I've been streaming on Twitch, so like not that many movies for me this week.
We need a lore reappraisal. We need you to bump that rating up. Aidan, you want to go next?
Sure. Let's see. I watched Prince of Darkness, a John Carpenter movie. Thought it was pretty good. Not one of my favorite Carpenters though. I watched All That Heaven Allows, a Douglas Sirk movie from the 50s. That was really good movie.
I really want to rewatch that, actually. It's been a while since I had to watch it.
Yeah, I love the way that Sirk uses colors. It's just such a good-looking movie.
Yeah.
I watched A Face in the Crowd, the Elia Kazan. And I also watched Ghost Dog, the Jim Jarmusch movie.
Ooh, great movie as well.
Really good.
That's so really fun.
That movie cracked me up. The part where he has like two guns aimed at two different people, and one of the people just like keels over because he gets because he's so surprised, and he just slowly lowers one of the guns and shoots the other.
It's a silly movie. I like his sense of humor as well. What's that one movie he did recently? The zombie movie.
The Dead
people don't like that movie.
I didn't like it when I watched it, and I've been like meaning to revisit it and like reassess now that I know things about him, because when I watched that movie I didn't even know who he was. So
I saw a tweet the other day that was like, Ghost Dog is so good for a movie made by a white guy from Ohio.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Funny. Is that the end of your list, Aidan?
There's one more. Last night I saw Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me in the theater, which was really cool. I
see that that rocks. I see that the Alamos doing that.
Yeah, that's where I saw it too.
Yeah,
it was cool.
Douglas, would you like to?
Yeah, I only watched a few things because I've been busy with work. Really, that's it. My schedule's been kind of fucked up this week. I watched 2 short commercials. If you not really films, but I logged them on Letterboxd. Both directed by Baz Luhrmann, who really again talked about it last week. I like Baz Luhrmann, whatever.
Yeah.
Chanel No. 5 and The Secret Life of Flowers. Chanel No. 5, the film, obviously a Chanel No. 5 ad, and The Secret Life of Flowers is like it's like an H&M ad or some shit. That shit is terrible. That shit is not good. It's like
that's the Baz one.
Yeah, these are both Baz commercials. The Secret Life of Flowers, which is like this H&M ad commercial that's like it's like a short film, but they're all wearing, you know, whatever. That it's like people were comparing it to Saltburn, which I think is apt, but this movie, it looks even worse than Saltburn. It's like really gross, like music video aesthetics. And the Chanel number 5, the film, again, it's a commercial for Chanel. This is the realest movie ever made because it's about this guy that is just yearning for Nicole Kidman for like 2 minutes, and it's like, oh man, this is the realest movie ever made, dude. And so yeah, shout out Baz Luhrmann. Who's like is he the most
Yes.
is he the most homosexual straight filmmaker of all time? It's possible.
Gotta rack my brain a bit. Gotta do a deep dive, maybe.
Rewatched Terminator 2
Oh yeah,
Judgment Day.
Keaton.
I rewatched Terminator 2 Judgment Day, which is a movie that invented a lot of stuff. It's a movie that invented the 1990s. It's a movie that invented the blockbuster. It's a movie that invented action movies. It also invented car chases, and it invented like how to reload shotguns in cool ways. It
You're missing a
invented
couple things.
yeah, it invented a lot of stuff. But and yeah, I mean that movie. Listen, one of my favorite movies. Then I watched Terminator 3: Rise of the Machines.
What did that invent?
And invented girl Terminators.
real.
And I mean,
Terminators.
I kind of like it, but it's like it's kind of also garbage. It's one of those. Does that make sense? It's like one of those things where it's like I can recognize that this is garbage, but I can also look at it and be like, this is entertaining, and there's stuff going on that I could appreciate. That is like working for me a little bit. Very silly movie. Really good ending though, but I don't know. It's hard. It's like Terminator 2 is kind of like a movie that's impossible to make a sequel to. But then they make 5 of them. So, anyways, Kevin.
Yeah, I got a lot. After last week's recording, I saw Perfect Days, which I would like to watch again, I think. Because there's a gorgeous movie, made me quite emotional. I think there's just some things about it that I'd like to give some more thought to, maybe when I watch it again, because I had kind of seen a lot of people's interpretations of the movie ahead of it and read those same interpretations after, and I was like, I don't know if this is exactly right. But then I talked to our friend Max, who's been on the podcast, and he kind of gave me a point of view that I think is different from the ones that I was reading from a lot of other people. So I was like, okay, maybe I just need to watch this again. It's really good though. Then I watched The Taste of Things, another movie from this past year. No idea how this is one of the movies that they didn't nominate for Best International Feature when we were looking at those nominees. And this was like the French submission. And, you know, it took the Anatomy of a Fall spot.
There's a lot of politics around that.
Yeah, no, I know. But I'm like, I get that Anatomy of a Fall was not the submission. So then it wasn't nominated. I don't know how you nominate five movies that aren't this one. Like Perfect Days being nominated, fine with that. I really liked it. This movie, The Taste of Things, like life-changing stuff. I will be watching it like 20 more times before I die.
Yeah, people are saying that it's really good. Like everyone, I mean, obviously not everybody is as high as you, where you're like, this is one of my favorite movies now.
Yeah,
but everybody is like that's seen it. I think is like, oh yeah, this is like a really great movie.
There is like somewhere between 5 to 10 moments in that movie that are like any single one of them is the most romantic thing I've ever seen in a movie. I was like overwhelmed with emotion. It is like such a it's like a crowd pleaser kind of in a way that like might annoy some people. Like it's just like a really no, not like that. It's just like a nice movie. Like it's just like a movie that makes you feel good, you know? And that might bother some people. But it's just like the sweetest thing ever. I would need to talk about it at length, and I'm not going to do that right now. But just like the fucking best.
It's the kind of thing we should have done a episode about.
Make a YouTube video about it, Kevin.
Absolutely, I might listen. I'm something's in the works right now at the Kevin HQ. I'm working on a long video about 10 things I hate about you for its anniversary. But anyway, I watched Plus One, cute little rom-com. I know Owen's seen it. Pretty fun. I think Maya Erskine should be in more stuff. She's really
good.
likable.
Jack Quaid too is great.
Yeah, Jack Quaid's good. I
Like-
just thought she like kind of stole the show, and
Yeah,
his
for sure.
character was much less interesting despite being the protagonist.
Yeah.
I think the movie should have been about her. Maybe that's my only complaint because she was way cooler. What can you do? I watched A Matter of Life and Death. Fucking awesome movie. I remember the one scene, like the stairway to heaven kind of scene that they have was shown to me in a film class, but we never had to watch the full movie. Watched the full movie. That scene, still one of the most insane things I've ever seen. The rest of the movie, also kind of some of the most insane stuff I've ever seen. There's like 3 or 4 moments where I was like, that is very impressive. And I have no idea how they did it. Really good movie.
Is that the one where they have the like holes in the ceiling?
Yes.
Shot?
Yes. That shot is also cool. And there's also a shot with like I would call it a coliseum, but it's like it's where they do like the courtroom scene, and then they like zoom out of the courtroom, and I'm just like, this is beyond crazy. Like I don't know how they did that. And then I rewatched Memories of Murder, one of like my absolute favorite movies. I don't have to add anything for that one. And then yesterday I watched Tenet in theaters, which was previously.
Yesterday I watched yesterday.
No, Tenet is like Tenet was, man.
Tenet.
My opinions have changed a lot on that movie. I don't know how I ever didn't really like it that much when it came out originally.
Do you see it like right away, like when it came out?
I saw it when it came out in theaters. I have
So
not
did
watched
I.
it since. This was my first time watching it since it came out in theaters. Completely different perspective.
It's a
I
big
was like,
it's a big like boys versus men thing going on with these Tenet reappraisal.
Yeah.
Because I did the
It's
same
also
thing.
like-
I hated it in theaters when I saw it when I was like a little baby. Then I watched it again as a grown up, and I was like, "This is a big boy movie."
The
This is
old
a good
Doug
movie.
Tenet review is a classic.
no,
think
yeah,
I
you
deleted
deleted it.
Because I should have left it up, but I was so frustrated and embarrassed afterwards. Like,
Yeah, no, I'm embarrassed about a number of my old reviews. People can go find them. They
because
all
that
suck.
Tenet review was so dumb and so negative. Like,
Yeah, there's things about it like that I used to think where I was like, I can't believe this is how I interpreted that movie, and I also can't believe that like I watched it back then and I was like,
What,
this movie
4
is
years
so
ago?
Yeah, I mean it hasn't even been that long, but like a lot.
I mean, 40 years, a lot
4
can
years is a
change.
long
4
time.
years
That's
is
like
a
that's
long
like a fifth of your life, dude. That's
especially
a lot has
especially if
changed
you're like
in-
watching more movies in
Yeah,
a 4-year
exactly,
span
like-
than you were in the other 4-year spans of your life.
like literally
Yeah,
20% of your
absolutely.
entire life has passed.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I thought back then the movie was like the most confusing thing I ever watched, and now I was watching it again and I was like, this just all makes sense. I
Bro
was
had
like,
Joe Brain.
I was like, I
Bro
can't
had
believe
Joe
people.
Brain.
I was like, I can't believe people don't
Shout out
understand. And
Joe.
like I was watching in real time, like people sitting around me in the theater, like being confused. I walked
Yeah.
out of the theater and someone was like, this like group of friends was talking next to me, and the one of them had like watched the movie for the first time, I guess. And they were asking, they're like, "What'd you think? Like first watch?" And he was like, I mean, I have no idea what that movie was about. And I was like,
It's about the future and the past going to war against each other.
yeah.
It's about
it's
It's
fucking
about
cool.
Robert Pattinson and John David Washington in love.
being
Oh,
freaking gay,
literally.
being little homos.
Talking about
good movie.
gayest straight director Christopher Nolan.
Speaking of gay people in love, let's talk about Drive Away Dolls.
Oh, God.
This week's
Worse
movie.
gay movie than Tenet. I'm gonna be honest. It's a worse
Okay,
movie about
that's
homosexuality than Tenet.
That's a start. I was gonna start actually by saying that I know that this is co-written by Ethan Cohen's partner.
Yes.
Who is
Trisha
woman.
Cook. Sorry, I was finding their name. Trisha Cook. But still feels like a Coen Brothers movie. I think we could all agree. Like, still feels very much like a Coen Brothers
in
movie.
the worst way.
And in my
Not
head,
enough.
yeah, but in
Problem.
my head, I was just like, as I was watching it, and as I was like,
I
not
feel
totally
bad for
buying into
Joel,
it.
bro.
No, but I was just like, do we need a lesbian sex comedy Cohen style? Like, that's what I was thinking. I was like, is this like the people who I want making a lesbian sex comedy.
Well, so I had a similar thought. Well, we should tell the audience what this movie's about, right? It's obviously,
I mean,
this
it's a
is
lesbian sex comedy.
well, yeah, but it's Drive-Away Dolls is like you said, it's an Ethan Coen movie directed only by Ethan Coen.
No Joel.
No Joel Coen, and it is written by just Ethan Coen and Ethan Coen's partner, and no other credited writers.
Yes.
And it is about Margaret Qualley and how do you say her name? It's like
Geraldine
Viswanathan. Yes, Geraldine Viswanathan. Margaret Qualley and Geraldine Viswanathan are both lesbians, like younger lesbians in the year 1999, going on a road trip to Tallahassee where they basically take a drive-away car, which is like a way to get like a free car to go to a destination, and they accidentally take the guy gives them the wrong one with like illegal goods in it, and then they get caught up with basically some too good no good wacky crooks chasing after them. And that's like the
I mean, it's a short movie. It's not, not a complicated plot.
It is. Listen, I want everybody to take this to heart. This movie is not for me. Like that is like it is truly not for me, because I wanted to walk out of this movie 15 minutes in. I was like this is like literally like nothing about this movie was working for me. I was like this is oil and water not mixing together. Like this is like
yeah. That's how I feel every time I watch a Coen Brothers movie.
That's not true.
Yeah.
There's like two that you enjoy.
You like Oh Brother Where
There's
Art
like
Thou?
two I enjoy. There's like 50 of them.
It's like a fine movie.
Sure. You know what I think is cool? Joey Slotnick from Hollow Man. He's Joey Slotnick is like one of the cop guys in this movie. It feels like there's like two movies going on like at once. Like you have like this like a good cop bad cop situation with Joey Slotnick and his partner, and then you have the girls on the other side. Very weird. It feels like this movie feels like a Netflix version of the Coen Brothers movies. It feels like a watered down version, which is weird because it's like they're still like one of the Coen Brothers is still making the movie. It just feels like a watered down version of a director pairing that I don't necessarily love too much.
Yeah.
I thought like deep down they're like the relationship between the main two characters was something like interesting to an extent, but I think Margaret Qualley's accent is really annoying. The Coen brothers love an accent. I think she was really annoying.
I think she swung and missed.
I think
she maybe didn't need to do that.
I think her accent was annoying, and I'll go farther and say that I disagree when you say that there's something kind of interesting about the two characters. I think that their relationship
not a single thing.
is so surface level and not interesting at all.
It is. It is very surface level. I was just like, I kind of like felt not even to like a good extent, but I was like, oh, this is a little sweet. I think that's like as far as I went. I was like, oh, this is a little sweet. So I don't feel like a hatred towards them to the ultimate extent, but I mean, Margaret Qualley's character, I don't want to be on the screen. I mean, that's the issue is there's like a lot that's just not good, and it's not even. There's a difference between not good and like just annoying, and there's like the beginning with Pedro Pascal, and it's like, is this a parody movie? Like it's like the tones are really weird. And I don't think
that bit was annoying too. No, I'm gonna be honest. That bit when we first see Pedro Pascal, I'm like, he's being really annoying right now. And then the movie just doesn't stop being annoying for an hour.
And then he's in the movie for a minute, and then you keep having to see his head, and he's literally
even have a line in the movie. Pedro Pascal?
Yeah.
He has a line in the beginning.
There's the scenes like
when he talks in the alley.
It's the guy who's like serving him at the diner or whatever. Or like the waiter, and he backs him up in the alley.
He does the check thing, and that was like wild.
Chuck.
Yeah. Holy
it felt
shit!
like something out of a Matthew Vaughn movie. That intro felt like a Matthew Kingsman movie.
Yeah.
It was so out of place.
Like that. So what? Where'd you fall on the movie, Aidan? Actually, where do you fall on Coen Brothers movies? Because I don't know how you feel about them. I know that like
I
them.
am a big Coen Brothers fan.
Okay.
They've made like several of my favorite movies. But this one I was really excited for it. It's like one of my most anticipated movies of this year. But I was kind of just mildly positive on it. It was entertaining enough. Like I thought there was some good comedy in it, but I was pretty disappointed overall. Like a lot of it just didn't work very well, and like I wonder if Joel Cohen is like an essential part of the Coen Brothers movies.
So here's the thing that I heard them. I heard Adam Naiman say this on the Big Picture because they talked about this movie, and I think he's probably right about this, which is that Joel is the guy behind the camera in this duo.
Yeah.
And Ethan contributes with like the comedy and the writing.
There are movies that Joel has just directed and Ethan has written.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
so I think it's like I think this movie probably is like the definitive piece of proof that that's the case.
Well, supposedly their like early movies, Joel Cohen was the only credited director, but that was just because of some like union rule, and they claim they both directed all the movies.
Gotcha.
And then Ethan always took the only producing credit, even though they both produced it as well.
That's interesting.
Okay. So they were doing everything together on some of those, but then I wonder, is that updated on like Letterboxd and stuff, or is it just
it still says Joel? That's why I thought. It's weird. I haven't seen the Joel Cohen movie, the Macbeth movie, but
which I think is really good.
I've seen of that. That movie feels more serious. When you guys say that.
Yeah. No humor at all.
No. There's jokes in it. There are jokes, but like there's really dry
compared. It's a different humor than
it's not the humor that you
get. It's not quirky or wacky. It's all the humor is like super dry.
The way that I kind of took Driveway Dolls is that this like Raising Arizona, Big Lebowski humor is very Ethan. It's very Ethan. And that stuff is the stuff I don't like. Like that stuff does not work for me at all in any of their movies. And it's very clear that like just from like having a little bit of understanding of what Joel did on his own, and now this like whatever Ethan made is there's very clear difference of like their comedy styles. And just looking back at their careers, I think there's like a little bit of like Ethan holding Joel back to an extent of just like writing these like dumb fucking jokes.
But like some of those movies that are classics, like The Big Lebowski or whatever, like they wouldn't work without the both of them. Like his humor.
But I don't.
But you don't like it. But I'm saying the reason why people do like those movies.
No, people are liking this movie to an extent more than us, or more than
I saw like one really positive review on Letterboxd, where they were talking about how like, oh, this is the kind of queer cinema we like need, and I was like, really? Really?
Yeah.
Like I don't know. It's like it's very gay, you know, and like in quotes, I guess, but it's very like millennial fucking idea of what gay is.
Yeah. Well, like, someone said there's like a good someone on Letterboxd, I don't remember, but they called it like boomers bottoms or like something. Like it's a very like similar like just made by someone a lot older.
That's the thing that I wanted to talk about, because only in a movie like this from these people where there's a generational divide like this would they kind of throw in all of this like political messaging that they do, where the movie takes place like in I guess the 90s, right? But then it feels there's like jokes that are like part of that time period, then there's like more jokes that are just kind of like clearly supposed to be like jabs at like what's like the current atmosphere, and I was just like this stuff is not landing with me at all. Like they made like I forget who the politician they made a joke about someone where they mentioned somebody, and I was like, that is just not funny.
Brody did like on Brody's write-up of Drive Away Dolls, which a lot of like the publication critics like the weekly critics at big publications, I read a couple of them. All of their write-ups on Drive Away Dolls is very like middling reviews, but then all of the reviews are basically like, yeah, it doesn't really work, and then they don't really go into why they don't think that. But on Brody's write-up for it, he was like, yeah, the only reason it takes place in 1999 is because this plot does not work modern day. They would have cell phones, and they would throw a tracker in that fucking car.
It just felt like they didn't want to deal with making a modern movie at all. Like, it just felt like
well,
the filmmakers were too old.
Feels modern to an extent, but then they like to actually make like the script work. It just kind of has to be pre-internet.
But then I'm gonna say, I think that this movie. Here's my thing. My thing with Drive Away Dolls, right?
Yeah.
Let me know what you guys think. I think that it's a lot of poor directing decisions from like behind the camera. I think that there's some poor editing decisions, kind of like in post, and I think that there are some pretty poor writing decisions before any of this stuff
started.
So
the transitions I want to bring up because
the like
so I am like all for like transitional tools and stuff like that. They came at me at the beginning very jarring. It seemed like they forgot about them halfway through the movie. Like it's like you get like a lot of them, and then it's like
and then they stop doing the thing where like they swap.
But I don't think like any of them like really served a purpose. They were they were all just kind of like
distracting.
Probably trying to match a tone that like the
I was gonna say they're trying to do they're like, oh, we're so quirky. It was trying to be quirky,
but they weren't. I don't know. It did not work at all. I think like again, I love an interesting transition. I think
it was giving.
I think the fact that like I think it is important, and like I think people should focus on like the way that we transition to image to image. I think it's just like it feels like you just threw shit at a wall, really.
Yeah, but you did like when Miley Cyrus would show up.
Well, I think
I'm speaking to Owen specifically.
I know Doug did not, the way that Doug is writing. I thought like, hey, if this was a separate thing, if this one little like shot was it's on its own, I'd be like, oh, that's cool. But it doesn't really work in the movie. I thought it was interesting looking. That's like that was like the one like solid thing. I was like, oh, this is like cooler than Argyle, you know? Like but I don't think it's like the greatest thing ever.
All of that stuff annoyed me so much, and this is what I really mean when I was like oil and water with this. Where like even that stuff, there was one shot before like the first time it happens, where.
So many animals on the screen right
now. I know. For the listeners, there's just cats everywhere on our screens right now.
Where the first time it happens, right, it cuts to, I think it might have been like totally a CG shot where it was like the rain on top of the car, and I was like, oh, that's kind of like interesting, right? It was like an aerial shot of the rain, of like on top of the car, and you're in the rain. And I was like, oh, that looks kind of interesting. And then like it kind of zooms in on the car, and then it goes into this. Or it pushes in on the car, and then it goes into like these like very like LSD visuals. Cat's not pushing my microphone. And the second it started doing that, I was like, oh, this is an old person did this. This is such like an old such like an old person's idea of like wacky like druggy visual.
Speaking of that, how do we I mean I can already guess how you guys feel, but like the kind of core humor here really is that there's just a lot of dildo jokes. There's like about 9 of them.
So lame.
They're just not really funny, are they?
It's I guess like old person element. It's just
that was the part
isn't
to
the
me
shocking?
that stood out. Yeah,
well,
that
that's
was the
what
part to me that stood out.
I tweeted out this joke tweet,
young.
but I was like Ethan Cohen's son or Emerald Fennell's daughter, but it has like that like Saltburn thing where it's like, oh, look how shocking we're being, and it's like, okay, like it has that like element of like, oh, this is so crazy. I don't know, like I can't believe we're doing this.
I think there's a comparison to draw to even more so than Saltburn. I think to Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Sure.
which
A lot
also
of- lot of
has like
penis humor.
like penis humor in it, and like there's also like dildos on the screen in that as the segue to jokes. And obviously, I don't think everything everywhere all at once is the greatest movie ever made, right? But I think it's a movie that works
I think
very
it,
well.
I think they're
the
funnier in
tone,
that movie
the tones
because
handled in that movie like work better.
yeah,
Yes,
I
yeah.
think the people making that movie also
Are not
understand
50,
how to
100
make
years old.
yeah,
whatever.
I think
And
they
it's-
understand how to make penises funny.
It's
Exact-
also just like one of many jokes in that movie, and like it
Yeah.
was way more central to Drive Away Dolls.
Yeah, whereas
with,
Drive
like,
Away
a
Dolls, the
twist
whole
almost.
thing was like, oh, we're gonna make a lesbian movie where they have to use dildos.
Right.
You know, it's like all about
Yeah.
dildos. The
And
whole
it's-
crux of
and
the
it's-
plot is fucking
And
dildos.
it's Matt Damon's penis.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's like I don't know. There's something weird about it too, where I was like, and it's like the whole movie kind of is about like not the whole movie, but a big part of the movie is kind of like how like they really like this one real guy's penis. You
Yeah,
know,
that's like
like
the last
Yeah.
20, 25 minutes of the movie. That's a
like
big
what the
running
hell?
joke.
It was just about how much they enjoy using the cast of this real person's penis that doesn't
Yeah.
want their penis to be out there. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's like
no,
what? That's
I
such
mean,
a
it's
bizarre
really
writing
weird to
decision.
be like,
It's
oh,
very
this is a
weird.
lesbian comedy, and that's like the central plot of the movie.
Yeah.
Also, like
about-
I think we talked about Pedro Pascal, but like Matt Damon also, who's in this, it's just like obvious stunt casting. Like, oh, look, Matt Damon's in
Yeah,
this for 2
like-
seconds.
Yeah.
You can kind of do that when you're a Coen brother, but it's like it's lame.
He's like a guy that shows up in things though.
Yeah, but I mean,
also, but like Ethan Cohen, you know, he has the Coen brothers have a tremendous amount of goodwill in Hollywood, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and Ethan Cohen obviously was like he played some chips to be like, hey, like come be in my movie, guys.
yeah.
And Matt Damon's in there for 35
It's
seconds
so
being annoying.
jarring. It's so jarring that it's like, oh look, it's Matt Damon, you know,
Yeah.
and like
Yeah.
and it's like, oh look, it's Pedro Pascal, and it's like it feels like, oh, we don't have to like work as hard on like writing this character because it's Matt Damon, you know.
But also, like, a big appeal of the Coen Brothers movies is like these weird characters that come in for just a couple scenes and like
Right.
you know
Sure.
do some sort of funny bit, but like that only works when they're doing what they usually do and casting just like character actors that no one really knows to give like a
Yeah.
specific weird performance
Yeah.
in one scene.
Yeah. Like
And
Matt
this one
Damon's
is
made
all
a
just, like,
Marvel cameo.
famous
Yeah.
cameos.
yeah,
that,
no,
like,
it didn't
don't
feel
really
like
bring anything.
Matt Damon is a good character actor, but the character he's playing isn't, you know, it's not using
Yeah,
any strengths that he
yeah.
has, you know, it's like
No.
I
No,
mean, it's
Matt-
barely a character.
Matt
It's like a
Damon
stand-in
does something
for-
like this in Youth Without Youth. Matt Damon is in Youth Without Youth for like a minute, and it works because it like plays to his strengths, and it like seems like it transitions well into the rest of the movie. It feels so jarring when they look up to the billboard and it's just Matt
and you see
Damon's
his face, and then you like
Yeah.
know he's coming later in the movie, but he's not.
yeah,
even,
well, the
like,
whole scene with them like meeting Matt Damon is like in the trailer. That's like his
Yeah.
only scene.
Yeah.
he's
And
well,
then
there's
all
like
the
the scene
Pedro
outside, but it's,
Pascal
like, the
too. It's
hospital.
like,
Yeah.
yeah.
But
Strange.
also like the fact that they show him on the billboard just makes it obvious, even if you didn't see the trailer, that he's
Yeah,
gonna
well, it's
show up
weird that
later.
they chose to show him,
Yeah.
because it's obvious when you show Matt Damon on the billboard that Matt Damon is going to appear later in the movie. You know, like
Yeah,
if
exactly.
if they showed the billboard and it was just some guy, like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But like showing Matt Damon on the billboard, it's like, oh, they didn't just like bring in Matt Damon, like use Matt Damon's face.
this goes into
Yeah.
a bigger issue I have with the film too, where I feel as if the movie is written as a series of plot points. Like this feels like a save the cat ass movie where it's like,
Yeah.
oh, this is a narrative beat that has to happen, and then
Yeah.
so that the next narrative beat happens, so that the next narrative
And-
beat happens. There's no narrative. To me, while watching it, there was no like narrative tension. Jesus Christ, cat. There's no narrative tension or like real narrative momentum pushing through all of the
No.
beats. It was
I
like
mean, I was never worried for our main characters at all.
no.
Like
No,
there was no
no,
sense of
yeah.
like, oh, like something bad is gonna happen. You could
Especially
probably
since like the villains were so like helpless
Yeah.
goofy the whole
Well,
time.
it's like I said, yeah, I like the main one guy, but it's like that
Yeah.
those characters, they kind of showed up and like, all right, guy, can you help us? And like it very like there was no like worry, so it was like, oh, we're just gonna see where these people go, you know? And
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
their characters were really just like a worse version of the Hitman duo in Fargo. Where,
yeah, no, those
like,
characters
Right.
especially felt very Cohen, but again, like it was just like,
but
okay,
like
they weren't that
without
fun.
any of the
Yeah,
specificity, just
yeah.
like a rip-off version of a Coen Brothers
They
game.
they have that whole like running thing that they do throughout the movie though, where they're like the one guy's kind of like telling him that he has to like do like be better with people to like appreciate life and stuff. Like
Yeah,
that was
and
like
that's
a
literally
that's like a
in
whole
Fargo.
separate yeah. I was like that's a whole
Yeah.
separate thing as well. Like I was like this is just
Again,
And
not.
he even
it-
kills the
I
other
was like
guy.
this is not the movie we're
yeah,
watching. Now.
really weird like twist there where the guy just kills the other guy and he obviously of course he runs out of bullets and then he just lets them go. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, an annoying twist
okay.
that has no resolution.
No
Yeah,
like
I
there
don't
was
like-
no purpose of that at all.
I don't like some of those. Even like in humor, some of the setups and payoffs are like really frustrating. Like the part where Geraldine Viswanathan's character like talks about how her like grandma in Florida is not gonna like Margaret Qualley or whatever, and like she's like doesn't
At the very
explain,
end of the
she doesn't
movie.
explain why. And then at the
Yeah.
end of the movie, the big joke is like that they're gonna go get married, and they're like,
And
gay
that's-
marriage is legal there. And I was like, this is fucking stupid. I was like, you guys
Yeah.
fucking serious?
It's just such a weird tonal thing to do at the end. Is like
Yeah.
do a bit. It just
Yeah.
I
really
don't love it.
It
fizzles out.
feels like we're like like we're just going through the motions. We're really just
Yeah.
like on
Yeah.
autopilot making this movie, and we're like, oh, this is kind of what the Coen brothers do. This is what we do, right? Like it is very lazy to me.
Can
Yeah.
I say the one thing that I actually really like about the movie?
Yeah, go ahead.
I think Geraldine Viswanathan is very good.
Sure.
I like her.
Well,
I think
here's the thing. Here's the thing. I don't
I
think she's good.
really fun.
I don't think she's good in this movie. I think she's probably a really good actress. She has literally nothing to do in this movie. She has actually has less than nothing to do in this movie.
I agree. But I see her and I see her doing things, and I'm like, I want to see that again. Not like in this movie, but like in another movie. Like, she seems very like she's very likable. Like I was like, she's a really good presence. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, think she was the best performance in the movie. Like
I don't know how it's like, but she's not doing anything the whole movie. You know, it's like she has like nothing to work with.
Yeah, no, I think that's why it works, or like why she stands out is because anyone given anything to do is given the worst job imaginable, and I'm like, stop doing that.
And they're all just playing it like so high. Like
for the fact that she is just chilling out. Like
almost like she knows how ridiculous the movie is, and like she's like there, she's like with us, like she's like us.
Her character is so like what the fuck is going on? Like you guys are annoying as fuck the entire time, and it's like, oh, okay, she's real, but she also kind of feels like she's like in a different movie, because she's like that. It's like she's so separated from the rest of the tone that it's like very bizarre. But it's like I agree with you, Kevin. I think she's good in this, and I think I'd like to see her more. My like reference for her is that like Blockers movie, that like weird like
but she was funny in that, wasn't she? I haven't watched it, but
I don't know if it's just like because that's where my reference is, but it very much felt like in the vein of like that kind of like Netflix like bullshit comedy with like a sprinkle of that like Coen shit on top. There was just like a lot of like that. It just felt like something like you would find on like Netflix.
I'm realizing now she was in that Bad Education movie that I watched, and I don't remember much of the movie, but
same.
But she was fine in it. I think I remember Jimmy Page in that movie, not her, because that's like my favorite guy. But she's like not in much though. I'm like looking now, and
I saw her in Cat Person. It's one of the only things.
Well, it's interesting. It's like it's bizarre casting because not that she's bad, but it's like we said, like Ethan Coen has pull, and he's able to get Matt Damon and Pedro Pascal, and the two leads are very like peculiar. It's like interesting, like kind of casting, like, oh, why is this like these are the two people that Ethan Coen's like this is what we're gonna do.
Right, but he wanted them to
I-
be like, obviously they have to be young, and
Yeah.
I would say Margaret Qualley is growing in terms of popularity.
I mean,
Yeah,
She's
I
consistently
mean,
better
doing more
elsewhere.
and more stuff.
yeah,
Yeah,
I
but
like her in a lot of stuff,
I don't
but
know, they just picked two like
young.
character actors with
Yeah.
like some
Yeah.
like the ability to be funny, right? Or I guess
Yeah.
like Margaret Qualley hasn't really been that funny in anything, but
Yeah, she
you know what
has.
I mean. Go off.
Okay.
Yeah.
Name it.
What
No, I'm
what
just-
No,
Margaret
right.
Qualley movie?
Name it. What are you saying?
Yeah, like I said,
Uh,
the Margaret Qualley movie. She's
I
really
mean,
funny in.
I think she's very funny in Sanctuary. I think she's pretty funny in The Nice Guys. It's like a smaller role. I like she's
Okay.
I like when she shows
I'm
up.
not saying she's not funny. I was just saying
Okay.
that she isn't. She has not really been in the.
Yeah, but that's
comedy
more of
that is, like
Geraldine's thing is like a comedy thing, and
Yeah.
like what's her the Beanie
Beanie
Feldstein?
Feldstein. Yeah.
She's like a comedy actress.
Yeah.
Who
So, like they didn't really use her at all in this movie either.
she also feels like she's like a part of something else. Like she's just
Yeah.
off in the other
Yeah.
room, and then like we cut to her occasionally.
Yeah, that I
She-
don't like.
It
that
doesn't feel like
either.
she really needs to be in the movie at all.
and she's like overperforming too. I think like
She's
I
kind of just
feel like it's
used
just a
as
director problem.
she's used as like a plot point thing.
Yeah,
Where it's
Yeah.
like, oh, let's go check on Curly. Oh, let's go call the cop
Right.
that we know. Or oh, she needs to tell the guys to follow. Like her existence is just like narrative pushing.
Yeah, even
Yeah.
Coleman Domingo only has like 2 scenes
Coleman
in the
Domingo,
movie. Like it's like this
Oscar
is like
nominee.
simultaneous. Is this the longest 80-minute movie you guys have ever watched?
I mean, 80 minutes so specific.
No, but you know what I mean, because I'm like
Yeah.
I'm thinking like at all these people. I'm like they don't
Yeah.
really use all these people a lot. Like
But it feels like it's like 80 minutes has passed. It feels like that was longer than it should have been. But it also feels like nothing fucking happened and we didn't like
exactly. That's why like it's a real confusing like.
I honestly
to
feel like
measure.
they could have made the movie better if they padded it out a little bit because it just feels so rushed. Feels like
Yeah.
just
But also, I
everything's
would've gotten
happening
bored,
for no
probably.
reason, and they needed some more slowness.
it might now.
Like,
I think I might have
I don't
fallen
know.
off a cliff. if
No,
they
it's like
added more.
I'm not like I feel bad because I know that some people are gonna really like this movie because my thing is like I really did not want to be in that movie theater watching this movie. Like every minute that
Yeah.
passed was like a minute of me being like I can't not physically handle watching this. Like it's so annoying. Everything was so every time like there was something where I was like, oh, this is kind of working. It would end and then it would go to something else, and I was like, oh my god, I can't believe that you guys are fucking being this annoying on my screen right now.
My problem with if it was like longer, like say like a 2-hour movie, is that the only thing I would like if it was longer is that they'd be able to expand on like the central romance and like
Yeah.
make me more invested in that. And I think that Trisha Cook is probably capable of writing
Let
that good
Trisha
romance.
cook.
But yeah, but the problem is that if the movie was longer, it would
It's just
mean
gonna be
that
more
we
dick
got more
jokes.
of all the other stuff.
Yeah.
So then it would be like still the same movie where I'm watching 2 hours worth of a romance that only takes up about 20% of the actual movie, which is just like for
This
me that was the
movie
most
didn't
frustrating
need
part.
any of the like plot with the dick or the like they didn't need any of the like they were in danger. It could have just been like them driving and like
probably would have enjoyed
it was a comedy
actually.
and they like were like it's a romance comedy. Like it did not need any of like the guys coming after them trying to kill them or anything. It just feels
but that's like the very
I
telling
know.
thing about
I
this.
know,
which is
and
like,
it feels shoehorned into this movie to be like, oh
Yeah.
look, like this is what we do. It didn't serve any like because again, like there's that scene where they're like tied up and like at the end, but for like 90% of their adventure, there is like no danger for them.
yeah.
Like even when they
Yeah.
find the head in the freezing thing, they're like, okay, like it's like they're
Yeah,
never
I'm not
really-
gonna lie. My immediate thought would not be like, "Let's go to a hotel and put
And,
this in a
like,
freezer." Like,
it's like they're
they were like
never-
way like a little too smart about that, like too immediately. I was like,
Yeah.
they didn't even really.
But I just
Which is fine,
yeah, it
but-
feels again like I ultimately feel like there is two movies happening and neither of them work.
Yeah, I mean, even like, because obviously it's a comedy that I don't find funny, which is not
Ultimate,
good.
like that's just not how it's not gonna work. That's just...
But then it's also like, you talk about this is being a piece by an auteur, like this is like, but by actual like an auteur that has like had like whole books written about their oeuvre and like their style is very prevalent and like all this stuff. So then it's like you got to think about, okay, what are they trying to say by making this movie? What is Ethan Cohen communicating to the audience about the way that the world is
Matt
with
Damon's got a
Drive-Away
nice
Dolls?
And this seems like the only Coen's movie that I don't really think is saying anything. Like it doesn't even seem like it's
movie's not saying anything.
And that's the biggest issue for me is that like I did find it pretty funny several times, but like there was nothing else in it.
Yeah, that's fair. Do you guys want to stop beating up the movie? Do we want to move on to the news? I mean, unless you guys have anything else you want to add, but I feel like this is a very, very negative takedown of pretty much all of
Can the lesbians get a good movie? Can they win one? You know what I mean?
Maybe you should watch more of them. No.
Well, throw them out there. Throw them out there.
Yeah. Listen, I don't.
Kevin, I didn't realize you were an expert in lesbian cinema.
I could probably think of some if I just like look at my movies. I can't just like do it off the top of my head. But
okay. Sorry. So you're like, they're like.
First of all, actually, like basic pick, but like one of the most like praised movies of the past couple years is Portrait of a Lady on Fire, which is like.
Yeah, a movie about how terrible it is being gay and how being gay just means that you live a terrible life.
Whatever.
Sorry,
you want a comedy? You didn't laugh at Bottoms either, so I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Can we win one?
We did win. You just didn't like it. And you're not a lesbian, so works out.
Sorry, you're framing it like you are a lesbian.
No. It's just like you're saying, like, can we win one? Like, who's we? Who's we in this situation? Like,
oh man,
they made a lesbian comedy this past year.
Sorry for being an ally.
Like it. So, yeah. Anyway,
sorry for wanting more. Sorry for wanting more from my
no, you can want more. You can want more. It's fine. Just like I don't know, get a better sense of humor. It's fine.
Oh no.
Let's move on to the news. Before that, of course, reminding everybody to do the usual: like, comment, subscribe, rate the episode on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Follow us on Instagram, TikTok, join the Discord, and of course, use Aidan's links in the description to follow Aidan. I'm putting my piece of news first because this is.
Bro's got a piece of news.
No, not like my piece of news, but like the most relevant to me piece of news.
I know what this is.
Mickey 17, which was delayed indefinitely, now has a release date of January 31st of 2025. It's apparently been delayed to allow more time to finish the film and have it released in IMAX. It's got a reported budget of about 150 million, and the report is that the Warner Bros. Executives are, quote, less pumped about the film.
This is great news, actually. I would even go.
So them being less pumped is good news. The rest of it, is
not necessarily that phrasing. I was just saying like them being like getting IMAX screenings and just being able to have like as much really time as they need to finish the movie is like in the end will be a positive.
Sure.
It's obviously annoying that you can't see it right away, but like it feels
which
like
I was never that annoyed about that. I'll be honest. Like, like for me, if it was gonna get like a whatever October, November release date, I would have survived. The January thing feels weird to me because it feels kind of like the way that they dump some of like, like the taste of things or whatever, where it's like these like international, like lesser seen movies that are still Oscar contenders for this current year, but don't even get like their wide release until like 2 months into the next year. The problem is that those movies don't have $150 million budgets.
Well, I think that a lot of people their gut reaction was like, oh, they're killing the movie. They're killing Mickey 17. They're dumping it in January. The studio executives have seen the movie and they're like, hey, we can't save this. So like they're just getting rid of it, right? And they're putting it in Dumpuary. I think that is a fine gut reaction, but also I think that them putting it at the end of January and with an IMAX release, it doesn't feel like they're dumping it. Because here's the thing, it's hard. Listen, guys, it's hard to get an IMAX window that makes sense. Weren't Dune's coming out this year? You know, like there's like big movies coming out this year.
Which it was originally supposed to come out the month of Dune, which is fine.
Yeah.
You should be able to get a IMAX window if you're the guy who's coming off of Parasite. I'm gonna like that's just like,
but I mean,
you should be able to get an IMAX window in 2024 if you're that guy.
Well, but like
people don't give a shit about that guy. That's just like I don't know, like your uncle isn't gonna be like, oh, the new guy from that made the Parasite movie.
But also, like,
if Robert
was from the get-go,
he's gonna be like Deadpool 3, ooh, like that's.
But from the get-go, if they were gonna be like, oh, we need premium large format screens for this movie, like Warner Brothers could have figured that out way ahead of time. It's obvious that they just decided now that they need that. Bro, Deadpool's coming out this year. You know, it's like they're not like, you know what I mean? It's like they needed a window, so it's fine. It's fine.
Kraven the Hunter, you know.
Yeah, no, yeah, Great Kraven the Hunter. You're joking, but it's like these are agreements that studios put in like way ahead of time with these. Yeah.
I am pessimistic about this release date. I'm gonna like the movie. Like that's not like the
Rob.
I'm gonna too. Like there's like
I'm really interested on the Rob performance because he does.
He's playing multiple characters. He's playing a clone.
Yeah. He's like obviously like very talented, but he slips into like zones that people don't really do. Like him and Cosmopolis like is like so crazy. So I'm really excited. Like I need to hear him speak in this movie. I'm really excited to hear him speak.
Well, that's
he does cool. Like his voice stuff is really phenomenal.
That's one of the reasons why I'm not that worried about. That's one of the reasons why I'm not that worried about the less pumped part of this whole thing because one, they don't know shit, but also just because like I think generally like his English language movies are received in that way compared to like a Parasite or whatever.
Yeah,
like,
Snowpiercer was received really warmly, but Okja I think got a lot of really mixed.
Yeah, like it was never a big thing. I mean, it was like, but that was also a Netflix movie, so like that's a whole different thing. But even like with Snowpiercer, it's like I don't know, like people definitely think less of that than like a Parasite or whatever.
It's not as good as
Parasite, no shit.
But also Snowpiercer, it's a genre film. Snowpiercer is an action movie too, which is like totally different than something like Parasite specifically. But even like something like Okja, like
I just think it's not surprising that a big budget English language film from him with Robert Pattinson is maybe not being as well received as like Parasite or whatever. Like it's fine. I think it'll be good.
I'm pumped up. I'm going to read the book. Now I have a ton of time to read the book.
Yeah, now you got a whole year to read it.
No, I'm excited about it. But the budget is concerning. And we're going to talk about, I'm assuming you put other budget related news in here.
You better have a little bit. You better have.
Do you want to bring it up now? Because I don't know what.
Yeah, fucking Ridley Scott's $310 million Gladiator 2 fucking movie that costs Endgame level amounts.
Yeah, that costs as much as fucking Avengers.
86-year-old Ridley Scott is tearing down the industry with him. Yeah. He's gonna die with the industry. So it's my guy. It's my goat.
People have already been talking about this, where it's like movies are too expensive, right? Where it's where the what's it called? The biggest one that people point to is the Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning. That budget ballooned to like almost $300 million because of all of like the, you know, like they had to start and stop shooting so much, so like it ballooned so much. And there's other examples too. I didn't have like a list or anything.
The tiger in Gladiator 2 cost that much?
Well, no, but like, you know, but there's like a bunch of examples of you know, like movies are costing more and more. Like blockbusters are just like really keep inflating in budget. And there's some people
blockbuster.
Yeah, there's some people that are really actually predicting that, like, you know, we're gonna see like a new Hollywood style collapse.
I think it's only a matter of time. I think if they keep pushing and pushing this kind of like system and the style of the way they're making movies, there's only so far you can push until like everything just implodes on itself. And I think the Ridley Scott fucking making a $300 million Gladiator sequel is psychotic, and I'm so excited to hear it and see it and like kind of exist in that world. But yeah, I don't think it's gonna have positive, and there's no way it has like a positive impact on the industry like that. We might just like be a neutral, like, oh, okay, we survived this, but there's no way it like is a positive for the industry.
I feel the same way about Mickey 17, a movie I'm really pumped for, right? But it's like $200 million budget, like a sci-fi Bong Joon-ho movie.
Yeah.
It's like that movie's gonna lose money. That movie's not gonna make its
I
money
don't.
back.
What I was gonna say is I don't know if Gladiator 2 is gonna make that money back.
Yeah,
Like
no,
it's
same.
a big movie, but like I've noticed on like social media posts about that movie, what seems like the common sentiment in the comments from like regular ass people is a bunch of like dudes complaining that Russell Crowe's not in the movie. They're like, we're supposed to watch another Gladiator without the original Gladiator. Like, I think people are not excited about that idea.
The blue checks, the Facebook users, they are not like fucking with this shit. This movie is going to rip.
It's gonna be good.
I mean, listen,
I have the feeling in my bones that this movie's gonna be so good. But it like, I mean, people didn't show up to Ridley's Alien sequel or prequels. Like, it's like, people don't really like Ridley Scott. His movies make I don't know. Napoleon didn't do that crazy, right?
Napoleon made money.
I mean, well, no,
I'm sure it made money, but that budget wasn't $300 million.
No, exactly. Yeah.
It did okay though, because that has a very specific audience of like dads and people who loved history class in high school.
Yeah, sure. I don't know. I'm super excited for this. I think Ridley going out with a bang, like the fact that like nothing really matters at this point. Like it's so him being able to like, let's just keep ballooning the budget. And I mean, so they shot this movie in 49 days, right? $300 million in 49 days. I'm trying to see what that looks like,
Yeah.
What happened?
That's because they had to stop because of the strikes, right?
Yeah.
But that shouldn't have made it, they only shot for 49 days.
Yeah, no, because even so Mission Impossible, they had to stop because of COVID, and they paid all the crew members throughout all of COVID, and that's why that ballooned up to like 280 whatever. That's way less than almost $400 million, which is this Gladiator movie, and that was for way longer that they stopped. Like,
I don't know. I can't wait. I don't.
Yeah, I just what the fuck happened to make it like two? Because it's like it's giving
it's Gladiator 2 documentary.
It's literally giving One from the Heart.
It's giving Heaven's Gate. It's like
it's so like and One from the Heart. Like, it's obvious. Like, we know what happened with that and why that. But like, I don't know, man.
I mean,
but
I think it's worth. I think it's worth like totally destroying the industry for one really great movie.
No, I disagree. I'm sorry. I love, because here's the thing. I do not think that movies can come back. I don't. I think that if the industry
movies
gets
come back.
I think that like I don't think that blockbusters can come back. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I mean. And it's like, I like blockbusters, you know?
Yeah. Fair enough.
You know what I mean? It's like, I think that if like the industry collapses, we're never going to get something like Dune again,
We'll get the AI version. So
actually, no, you're joking, but like
AI blockbusters, and then Marty can make the movie for $250K at age 98.
Yeah, exactly.
On his iPhone 17, bro. Holy.
Next piece of news is that Gareth Edwards is in talks to direct the next Jurassic World movie. I don't.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm
fascinated by like a guy that exists like this. Because like
there's so many guys like this.
No, I know, but it's like it feels like a modern guy,
Yeah.
This guy would not exist in the 70s, right?
No, yeah, he would 100%.
This guy would exist in the 70s.
Yeah,
he would
1,000,000%.
franchise.
Yeah,
like the guy who does Star Wars.
They didn't have franchises in the 70s.
That's the thing. I just think franchises are so prevalent now that it's a more existing guy.
I guess instead of franchise, like there would be a guy that would jump from studio film to studio film.
Sure. This specific guy I'm talking about is like making Star Wars movie, then making Jurassic Park movie. It's like
Godzilla to Star Wars.
It's like huge IPs, and that's like all he's working with, but it's like not really his movie. Bizarre guy that exists in like that can only kind of exist specifically in this exact climate. Obviously, like people have like what you were saying, like directors who would do like studio movie, but I'm specifically talking about like working with like the biggest franchises in the world. That's like all he's really able to do. Weird guy that exists.
The thing about Gareth Edwards, right, that I think might be a tough pill to swallow for some people that really like the creator, is that Gareth Edwards is not an auteur. He is not an auteur, and I don't think that's like that. I don't think that's really a hot take, and it's fine. I think he's a talent. I think that it is possible to be a very talented filmmaker and not be an auteur. I think that he has a lot of skills and a lot of technical ability that most filmmakers don't have. But that doesn't mean that he.
But it's weird that yes, I think it's just weird that if you're not an auteur right now, you kind of get shoveled into like making I don't know. It's like it's a weird you're either like able to have like free reign or you're forced to like make like franchise
but it's probably the most lucrative thing they can do.
Like there's only two options, and it's like you're either Ari Aster, Jordan Peele, or whatever, or you're like, Star Wars. That's it.
It's bizarre. I don't know. It goes back to the whole idea of like there's no like mid-level movie anymore.
Yeah, I don't know. I do hope it doesn't suck.
I mean,
this movie might not even get made.
World.
Yeah, it might not. Yeah, I know.
It might. I think it'll probably be fine. It's just like there's no.
It'll be similar to his Godzilla movie. Probably.
Yeah, which people like that movie, don't they?
Yeah, because it's good. Because this movie's good. Because he's a talented.
And if it's got
like
a good script and it's like similar to the Godzilla movie, and that's like similar Godzilla dinosaurs, like same idea. Like you can
for what they want to do. I think he's perfect. I just think it's like because they basically when David Leitch came on, he was like, I want to do this, and they're like, actually, we need you to do what we want to do.
David Leitch came. We live in a world where David Leitch
because David Leitch is a fucking bum.
Yeah.
But
because David Leitch came on and he was like, hey, I like making like John Wicky movies. And they were like, what are you talking about?
So I think Gareth Edwards is like the perfect guy to do their vision. But I think it's very lame that is like what is happening. I think I think that the David Robert Mitchell dinosaur movie will be infinitely better.
Yeah. I mean, that's That
and it's like it's funny. I don't know. It's funny that's gonna be a thing.
Yeah. Speaking of things that are funny that are gonna happen,
Speaking of stuff,
that was just as good as the transitions in Driveway, though.
Okay. Tom Cruise to star in Alejandro G. Inarritu's next film.
Speaking of
strong opinions on this
stuff, no, bro, we could have done a whole. I'm not even joking. We could have done a whole podcast just about this.
Every time there's like a piece of news that is like so specific to like what Doug enjoys or like a person that Doug likes, Doug is like, we could have done a whole podcast. We're not doing a whole podcast on a movie that we know nothing about.
Doug can do that podcast by himself.
There's so much to break down here. This is crazy. This is crazy. What the fuck?
Is he officially cast or is this like an in talk?
No, this is the deadline. Deadline reported that Tom Cruise and Inarritu had an in-person meeting to go over a script that Inarritu wrote. And then in that meeting where they met in person, Tom Cruise signed on to be in the movie.
Have you watched Bardot yet, Doug?
I've not seen Bardot. I have seen Birdman.
Yeah.
And I like Birdman a lot. You've seen The Revenant?
No Birdman.
I think that Inarritu
Tom Cruise is The Revenant.
I think Inarritu is kind of obviously has a tremendous amount of people in the industry like Inarritu a lot because kind of similarly to Gareth Edwards, but even like more so, he has a ridiculous amount of technical skill where Inarritu is able to he knows how to technically make a movie as well as literally anybody that is alive. right? He like the way that he is able to
No
communicate,
balls though.
like exactly,
I'm
but the way that he's able to
fucking-
communicate lighting and the way that he's able to frame shots and to like do like special effects and all this stuff, like he is as good as literally anybody that is making movies. No
Yeah.
balls, no dick, no balls. He's really annoying.
yeah.
I think actors really like him though. Like, 'cause
That's
they
the
well,
thing.
give
he got
big-
he got Leo that Oscar.
Actors
Yeah,
He got
Leo
love
Leo
an
that
actors
Oscar.
love
Exactly.
annoying
Yeah.
directors. though.
And
Yeah,
actors love
like,
annoying
actors
directors.
love David O. Russell.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly,
I mean, they
yeah.
love fucking Adam McKay, dude. Like they love
They
people who
get
write
Oscars.
annoying shit for them. Yeah,
Yeah,
because it gets
because
them
those
Oscars,
are-
and
movie.
because it like these are people who make like actor movies.
Actors
Like,
are
when
the
you
worst.
And that
write-
was gonna be my next thing I was gonna bring up was like, listen, whether or not you like it, Alejandro makes movies about one guy, and that guy is a representative of him. He does movies about himself and about how hard being a famous fucking person in Hollywood is, right? Those are the kind of movies that he has made for the last 10 years, right? That was what Birdman was about, that was what The Revenant was about, and that I've heard that was what
Scientology
Bardo was
movie.
about. Now,
Very much.
here's the thing. Tom Cruise is in this because he's like, he's gonna make a movie and I'm gonna get an Oscar. This is what's happening. This is 100% what's happening. Tom Cruise is like, I'm gonna fucking win an Oscar now. I'm gonna be in an Alejandro
Yeah, the
Inarritu
Tom
movie.
Cruise Oscar campaign would be actually a blast to watch.
Yeah,
I'm
he's
not
gonna
gonna
be
lie.
like,
both Tom Cruise press and
That's
Tom
gonna be a
Cruise
crazy
award
year. That's
speeches
gonna be a
would
crazy
be
year.
a blast.
This is what happened. Tom Cruise, David Zaslav called Tom Cruise and he was like, "Can you save Warner Brothers?" And he was like,
Like,
"Sure."
really.
So
Can
now
you
he's
save
like, okay.
movies, really.
Yeah, he was like, "Can you save cinema, like the business of movies, not cinema, the art form,
Yeah.
but the business of movies?" And Tom Cruise is like, "Okay, here's what's gonna happen. We're gonna make another Edge of Tomorrow movie. We're gonna do Top Gun Maverick with Edge of Tomorrow, right? And make $1 billion, and then I'm gonna win an Oscar."
Yeah.
And
This way I
that's-
could go make more blockbusters that make double
And
the
then
amount
we
of
can
money.
do real movies.
Yeah,
I know, but
Oh.
like, regardless of how good this movie is, I just hope it makes a ton of money and starts Tom Cruise's like second 90s phase where he's just working.
Yeah, well, that's the
with
thing is, this
good
movie
directors.
doesn't interest me at all. But I think the fact that this is what Tom Cruise is gonna do interests me. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
'Cause there was that-
Yeah.
I'm ready for the next casting news.
exactly. Because the Hollywood Reporter said Tom Cruise is obviously like there was the Hollywood Reporter thing about the Tom Cruise Warner Brothers partnership. That it seems like this is like a really big, like really in-depth partnership for both of them. And it was like what they said was like, okay, they're developing a sequel to Edge of Tomorrow. Like this is now really happening. It's happening to me. I know Owen doesn't like that movie, whatever. But right, that was like the big thing. And then they said Tom Cruise is very vocal about wanting to work with quote unquote auteur filmmakers again. Like,
Crazy
and
ball
they name
statement.
dropped like Paul Thomas Anderson. And then the
Saying
next day,
like Paul
Deadline
Thomas Anderson, and then fucking giving
Yeah.
Inarritu again.
Inarritu. The next day, Deadline reported on this
Oh.
Inarritu thing, which is crazy. How like, who's next? Give us another.
Yeah.
Give
Give
me
us somebody that's
little-
younger. You know, somebody newer. You know,
Yeah.
imagine Tom Cruise
Um,
in the next Jordan Peele movie.
I was gonna say the same thing.
psychotic.
You know what I
information.
mean?
That's-
Like something like that.
That's an inspired casting, though. I don't care what the movie is
My
about. That
boobs
You know what I
would
mean?
be on
Like-
fire, bro.
It's like Tom Cruise wants to work with an auteur. There's a lot
Yeah.
of really kind of
Show me, Tom. Show me where you
interesting
really want to work,
auteurs
Tom.
today. There's interesting auteurs today that would utilize Tom Cruise so well. Tom Cruise has such
Show me,
specific energy.
Tom.
He's such an amazing actor. Like Tom Cruise in a Jordan Peele movie would be crazy. After Nope,
Yeah.
well, it would be crazy. That's not
Yeah,
gonna
show
happen.
me,
but,
Tom.
Well,
Show me,
it can't
And then
happen
the
after
next
No, because his
Bong
next movie is
Joon-ho.
coming out in like less than a year.
Yeah,
But,
yeah, but you know what I mean. It's like
No, I get what you're saying. That would be
Robert
interesting
Eggers.
auteurs.
Yeah.
Like
Robert
Robert Eggers.
Sure.
But Robert Eggers could utilize.
that would be
That'd be
weird
so
though,
cool.
because that would
That
be
would
like
be
a-
so fucking
Which-
crazy.
Like, which time period could
That's
you
what I was
put
gonna
Tom
say.
Cruise
I was
in?
like,
I
that
don't
dude,
even
that dude is
know.
not making a movie that is set in like the last 200 years.
Exactly.
Yes, that's what I need to see. I need Tom to be serious about this shit.
Yeah, no, literally.
need
Yeah,
him in,
you want to
like,
work with an
the-
auteur?
He should have
go-
been Nosferatu.
No, yeah, literally. If you want to
Cruise
work with an
Nosferatu.
auteur, go speak fucking like
Get
like
fucking
like
Lex Luthor.
wars.
You gotta re-edit Lex Luthor out of that movie and put Tom Cruise in that bitch. Get him out of
man.
there.
Our next piece of news is also casting news, which I think Owen is more excited about. Josh Brolin is in talks to star in
let's
Zach
go.
Bagger's Weapon, so be replacing
Brolin
the role that
bros.
I guess was previously played by Pedro Pascal.
Fucking goodbye, Pedro.
Yeah, this
What
kind
an
of
upgrade,
rocks.
man!
This
What
kind
a
of rocks.
huge upgrade. I was
Um,
super excited for this movie because it's Zach Kreger's next movie.
Yeah.
Wasn't thrilled about the casting. Like the week before this happened, I was like, "Hey, Josh Brolin's kind of that guy." We were just like looking
He's
at his
been
like
that guy.
filmography and being like, "Hey, Brolin rules."
He's
And
good
then
at everything.
boom,
Even though the movie's not great, he's good in it. You know.
yeah,
Yeah, no,
Brolin
I mean, he's one of those
always
people.
brings it.
He's really good in
And
Coen Brothers movies.
Yeah.
He is.
He's
should
really
have
good in
taken
Avengers movies. Like, what are we
Pascal's
talking about?
he's
Like,
good anywhere. He always
Yeah.
he's just like an artist.
It is a delight to see him on our screens every time.
And leading this like really big Zach Kreger movie is awesome. Like I think this movie is gonna be unreal, and Brolin makes me more excited for it. So crazy how shout out, thanks for Fantastic Four, I guess. Like I don't know. This
Yeah.
ended up working in the best of ways. Yeah.
When's the last time he led a movie?
Brolin? No,
Oh,
Country for
I guess
Old
he
Men.
was the lead in Only the Brave.
Yeah,
I
he's not really a
forgot
leading man. He's like a character actor. Like,
about that.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
of course, but I mean, like, obviously, he was
But
the lead in Country for Old Men, which is like a
Brolin is good
Oscar-winning,
because
like,
he has
major
leading man
movie.
face with character actor talent.
Yeah,
He's got it all, man. He's terrific.
yeah. That fucking rocks. That's cool. This is such a bad transition because like this could not be a worse jump from like thing we're excited about to thing we are totally not excited about.
Speaking of things,
Yeah. 4 separate theatrical films are in the works about each member of the
Oh.
Beatles. Sam Mendes will be directing all 4
Fuck
films.
Sam
They're
Mendes,
said to
bro.
be interconnected, and each will be from one band member's point of view.
Bro's trying to make
Yeah.
the BCU.
They could cast us. We got 4 Beatles right here.
wait, cast us right now. Okay,
Yeah.
who would be who? It would be
Um,
so Owen would be George Harrison. Kevin would low key be Ringo, I think.
I was gonna say that, but I didn't know if I.
Yeah.
I think I kind of see it.
Doug's ass is definitely John Lennon.
Well, I didn't want to say it because
Yeah,
I
you're
don't.
probably
Fuck
John
that guy.
Lennon. No,
Fuck
yeah,
that guy. I don't like this game anymore.
Someone's
Yeah.
gonna bite the bullet, and I'm
Put it
gonna
in the
be honest. You're the only one that makes sense.
Put it in the
I mean,
comments section.
It makes
don't like
complete
this
sense
game.
that Aidan would be Paul. I think
one
I think-
of my childhood friends swore that I looked like Paul McCartney, but I never saw it.
Gonna be
I kinda
honest,
see it a
I'm
little
like
bit.
doing a little side by side.
Yeah,
right
I see it a
now.
little
It's
bit.
the eyes. It's the eyes.
Yeah,
man.
you guys kind of got the same eyes.
Yeah,
but
so we'll like CGI your eyes on like a face of like it's like another body.
sounds-
And like,
What if they reach out?
like-
what if they
it's like
reach
a
out to
lead-
you to be the
like a
the
Lita
eye
battle
actor
angel.
for Paul McCartney? What if they send you an email and they're like, we just need your eyes?
yeah,
a lot of people are
Alita
really
battle angel
excited.
reversed.
A lot of people are really excited for this.
Are they?
Like, yeah. People
I mean,
love
the
the
Beatles are
dude.
huge.
That's the thing.
man.
No,
People
yeah,
love the
but
Beatles.
like,
Beatles
a
are
lot of
huge.
people are
Ringo
like,
movie.
yeah, no, these
Ringo
movies are
movie
gonna.
was like literally like a bit on Twitter for like hell.
If
like,
these movies come out, dude, like they're gonna be massive. This is like really smart of somebody. Like obviously, a lot of
some
British
greedy
filmmakers
bastard
specifically
wants
love,
them,
love the Beatles, and it was like if somebody was gonna do this, it was either gonna be Sam Mendes or
Danny
Peter
Boyle.
Jackson.
Oh.
No, Peter Jackson.
I know.
Danny Boyle.
No, Owen referenced it at the beginning of the fucking episode, dude. I didn't realize that movie yesterday made money,
Yeah, no, people
Dude,
fucking
which is probably
love
only
the
because
Beatles.
of the fact that the Beatles are involved in it, like at
Yeah.
all. Because it's
No,
not.
people love the
it's
I
not
Beatles.
saw
like a
someone. I
Beatles
saw someone
movie.
say this on Twitter, and it was like basically like these movies will be better if they can't get the rights to the music, because
Yes.
that like forces them to be like creative, and like obviously like I think like the music will be like a part of it, but I think like I don't know. I think there's like a possibility where like you could actually make like a good movie about each member of the Beatles. I just don't know if that's like what they wanted,
Well, the
It's
thing
up-
is, like,
up to them.
I don't know if like Sam Mendes.
Sam
he's not-
Mendes is a boring pick.
Yeah, he's just like it's not even that he's like a terrible director. It's just
Yeah.
like he has
Well, I
such
also
like,
think it's
mainstream
boring
taste.
for him to make all of them.
Yeah, that's it too.
It
I
would've
wish
been
it was
cool-
like a different.
It would have been
director
cool
for
if like
If it's
like
a-
fucking they made like the Kevin Feige of the Beatles, and like they came out and like this is like our slate, and these are we have four Beatles, and these are
The idea
4
is
directors that are going to
interesting.
make these movies.
Because like I think what they said is like it's about like one specific like thing. It's like
It's
about like a one event,
Rashomon,
right?
Rashomon for the Beatles.
Yeah, it's about like it's all about like this one event in Beatles history, right? And
Yeah,
it's
from the different
Right.
point of views of people who are
yeah,
dead.
yeah, it's a different point of view, all
Yeah.
four of them.
Which
Which like
like
that's interesting.
It's
What's
sort
gonna
of
be
interesting. Should be just like a giant movie,
yeah, no, it should be like a birth to death fucking
like a
documentary movie,
4 hour
4 hour
like
birth to death for
epic.
each one of them. Yeah,
Yeah, but it's
Yeah.
like intertwined, like it's fucking Cloud Atlas. It's like
Yeah.
We're at
crazy,
what?
like editing, like psycho shit. Yeah.
yeah. No, this
Yeah.
should like that would be like
Look,
listen.
we should do a recut when they all come out and like fucking like cross cut. And,
yeah, just make our own version.
like the super cut of the Beatles.
Also,
See
I'm gonna throw it out there right now. I'm gonna put fucking. I would put a bag on this. There's gonna be news that Roger Deakins is gonna be involved in this on some level. He might not be he might not be the cinematographer for all four of these movies, but yeah, this is a really big project from Sam Mendes, and Sam Mendes is not a very creative filmmaker.
He said, "Roger,
So,
save me."
yeah, exactly. I think that
Roger.
he's gonna go to his most creative friend, which is Roger
Roger.
Deakins.
Makes sense.
Roger.
Yeah,
And he's gonna
I'm
do
just
what he
like,
did with
Sam Mendes
1917
Sam Mendes
and be
just
like,
get like that, like
"Save
seeing
me."
that name attached to a
Boring.
biopic. It's just like this is gonna
Yeah.
be like every biopic that we've
It's gonna
gotten
be
in the
bad.
past 5 years.
It might not be bad. I mean, we don't know enough about it. And
No,
it's like,
I don't like. It's probably going to be just fine, which is
they're
like
probably
worse
gonna be
than
bad.
bad.
it's another one of those things. Guys, Sam Mendes isn't an auteur. You know, like
Yeah.
he's not an auteur.
1917 is bad.
Yeah, it's yeah, no, sure. I don't like 1917 either, but that's my thing. It's like Sam Mendes isn't an auteur, so it's like I just don't think we know enough about the movie.
It's more Deakins
Like,
movies.
yeah, no, literally, every time they collaborate, it's like, oh, Roger Deakins definitely has a lot of
Take the
control
wheel,
about where this
Roger.
camera's going.
Take the wheel.
Our last piece of news is not that exciting. It's like TV news, but I just wanted to pick it apart because I don't know what the fuck it means. I do know what it means, but I guess just what the intention was, which is that Game of Thrones showrunners reveal that the show was supposed to end with 3 movies, but HBO wasn't interested in bringing the show to theaters. And then it says former studio execs reportedly once asked whether it could be shot vertically so it would fit on iPhones.
That didn't happen. I think that they're lying. I think these guys are annoying and liars. Do you remember when they Bro, these guys, what happened to these guys? These guys'
No,
downfall has
but
to be studied in
here's-
fucking history
They
books.
should shoot the
Here's why-
Fantastic Four movie vertical.
Here's why I want to pick it apart, because I'm so like curious what this means, because does that mean that the last season that we got, which was dog shit, would have been 3 movies instead of the last season? Or does it mean that we would get 3 movies following that last season, like then extending the story?
I have no idea.
Probably the
You know what I mean?
first
Because
one.
I'm like, it's just confusing from their part, because I'm kind of like shocked they wouldn't be interested in this, because this would be like do you know what a crowd for like Game of Thrones movie, like that would look like Avengers Infinity War. Like there would be like
3 of them
people
are
standing up
crazy,
like
though.
cheering. Like
I
There's 3
think
of them. They think they're Peter
so.
Jackson.
If the caveat that this story is true, that they are not lying,
Yeah.
which they could just be lying. With the caveat that the story is true, I think that this meeting where they pitched this probably happened very early in the writing process. So it's like it probably, you know what I mean?
Like you mean like in the early seasons of the show?
No. When they decided like, okay, we have to write a 7th season, like we have to keep this going. When they made that decision where it's like, okay, we're not gonna adapt anything for the 7th season. It has to be like original, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whenever that happened, I think that is when they probably had this meeting where they were like, what if we do a movies instead? And then they were like, no, and then they finished writing the season. I think that's probably what happened.
Yeah.
It wasn't like they
I'm
wrote the 7th season and then they were like, okay,
Yeah,
what if
that
we
makes
do this as
sense.
movies, you know?
Yeah, it's just interesting because like you pair it with like the fact that like that George R.R. Martin said that like he wanted the show, like he told HBO and like told the showrunners that like he wanted the show to be 10 seasons long because that's how much time is required to like tell the full story. and then they obviously didn't do that.
But also, George R. R. Martin, like,
he hasn't
didn't
finished
write
the books.
the book.
No, I know.
He
No,
didn't
you're
write the
right.
fucking
You're
book.
right. I'm not disagreeing with like that part of it. I'm
Shut
just
up,
saying
George,
that,
man.
I'm just saying like he is
All-time
proof that it should have
procrastinator.
been longer than it was.
Yeah.
So like that's why I'm saying like I'm curious if like it means that the movies would have come after the 8th season, which like then maybe they end up being a flop. But like if they were the 8th season, though, that would have like killed in theaters. Like Game of Thrones fans would have so easily showed up to watch.
I don't think Game of
movies
Thrones
in
fans
theaters.
leave their house.
That's okay. I'm just saying, like people don't like, because it's like TV and like a separate world. Like people don't
Game
like
of Thrones is
really
huge.
realize
really
like how big Game of Thrones. Like people are obsessed with that. Like that was a massive fucking like it would have been crazy. I don't know.
It's
I
like
would've-
Game of Thrones movie would have been as big as like a Harry Potter movie.
Yeah,
for sure.
Like it would have been a huge deal.
Like mainline Harry Potter, not like Fantastic Beasts. Like mainline Harry Potter.
Yeah, fuck David Yates.
Yeah,
I think that those showrunners, the Game of Thrones showrunners, they fumbled? Has anybody in the history of movies fumbled more bags than them? Like they were supposed to have their own Star Wars trilogy that they lost. They were supposed to do their own.
Everybody lost
like,
the Star Wars trilogy.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Everybody had their own Star Wars trilogy.
One guy in Hollywood who didn't have a Star Wars trilogy at one point.
But you know what I mean? Like they had all of like these like big IPs that they're gonna get the reins to. I think they're gonna get like a Marvel thing too that they never did. It was like they had like so much stuff, like so many blank checks handed to them that just disappeared. You know?
Yeah.
Now they're doing Free Guy too, huh?
Is that no? I knew they like had something that was coming out next. I don't remember what it is, but I think
are
they're
they
like
working?
I don't think they're connected to the Game of Thrones spinoff. I don't know if that's the case.
Do people like that?
Get the
House of Dragons? Yeah, people like it. People like it.
Oh, are you talking about I'm talking about a different spinoff than House.
Like Kit Harington's back?
No, like they have like another spinoff that's like in the works. But no, I don't think they do write on House of the Dragon. They are the writers of House. I think, which is like good.
Oh, right. Their next big thing is that that Netflix show that's based off of those books, The 3 Body Problem. Those are really big books too. I forgot about that. That's their next
first one of those. It was
so like so they do like have like they have like stuff lined up, and that's like I don't know. We don't have to do a whole Game of Thrones thing, but it's like that's the other frustrating part is that like I've watched House of the Dragon, which I know that they are like responsible for making, and I'm like, oh, these guys like still know how to write good TV. So like that pisses me off. Where I'm like, they probably would have written good movies.
But maybe they need source material. Like maybe they're just good at adapting.
That's what I'm saying. But House of the Dragon is
shout out. Like one of the guys, David Beanoff, he wrote Gemini Man.
Shout out. He probably wrote that movie.
So I'm saying that like these guys are not like
the 2 body problem.
But I'm saying these guys are not like
2 body
problem. They just wrote the worst season of television ever.
Yeah, no, I think that's last season of Game of Thrones fucked up their bag a little bit.
Yeah,
but the 3 body problem is interesting because that's gonna be not as big as Game of Thrones, but those are really big books that they're doing.
There was already a Chinese adaptation, I think, like movie series of that.
Oh, was there?
Yeah,
I mean, listen, like if they like clearly have a talent for being really good at adapting stuff, then I'll be excited to watch that.
And all the 3 body problem books have already been written.
Yeah. But what happens if it's Netflix's most streamed show ever, and then they want to keep going?
Yeah, and they have to keep going.
That's even funnier because Netflix has that problem without the like adaptation thing, where like they extend their shows and then they end up being bad by the end of it.
Then the other ones,
like Netflix has done that so many times already.
Yeah, it's like Stranger Things, right? It's like every season of Stranger Things is like, we could end here. Netflix is like, no,
Stranger Things is the funniest example because Netflix has kind of mastered the limited series, and if they just made Stranger Things one season, it would have been like the greatest limited series ever. But now we got 5 of them. So what can you do? Yeah. Anyway, that's the last piece of news. We can wrap up there. Like I said before, follow Aidan, and join us next week for episode 56.
Oh,
massive episode. We are going to be talking about Dune Part 2. And we are going to be locking in our Oscar predictions before the Oscars. So a lot to tune in.
That'll be a
for next
7-hour
week.
episode.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll see you next week.